whiskey just helps me sleep. Pills keep me on my feet. It's just a matter of time.
Welcome back to Pickletato. Hey, today we got a great guest. Brett Carlisle is in here with us today. He's going to talk about some stuff. Artist here in the Huntsville, Alabama area, right?
Yes, sir. Huntsville, Athens, Madison.
So you pretty much go all over the place.
In Tennessee, there's several places in Tennessee too.
Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Like I said, thanks for coming. We're just going to sit down and talk about a little bit about your past, what you're doing, kind of where you grew up, your hobbies, all that kind of good stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So one of the first things I want to talk about is where you grew up at. I know earlier you said that you're from an area around here, but is that where you grew up?
I grew up in Hazel Green, Alabama. I graduated Hazel Green High School in 2004. Grew up in a very little small, tight-knit community, as a lot of us did that lives around here, you know. It wasn't nothing spectacular, but raised in a good Christian home, and that's about where I
so
left there and went to Athens.
Yeah. So, well, back in high school in Hazel Green, when did your music inspiration start? I mean, was you always just listening to radio all the time and it's like, man, that'd be cool to play? Or what how did the music bug get into you?
Okay. So a lot of people are kind of surprised about my answer to this question. So from 1977 to present, or a little bit before present, a couple years ago. My dad sang Southern gospel music in quartets, traveled the country singing Southern gospel music in Southeast mostly. And I always thought I wanted to grow up and I want to sing Southern gospel music in a quartet. Yeah. Just like my dad.
Sure.
That's what I want to do. And so I get old enough to where I'm starting to learn guitar. I was about 15, 16 years old, and I'm trying to learn guitar a little bit, and I suck bad. And I'm still not great, but I suck bad. And so I start helping with the worship team in our youth group. And later on into high school, it kind of evolved into, okay, I like country music. You know, I want to try to play some country music. Mm-hmm. You know, and so that's kind of the background of where my music started.
So you got any brothers or sisters?
No, I am the only spoiled child. I hate when people think I'm spoiled just because I'm the only child.
You are. I haven't met a single child that has not been spoiled. No, when I mean spoiled, that might not be showered with everything that you want, but probably treated different being the only child, I think. I know.
Oh, well, I think I'm treated like the only child.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So that's what, while I was asking about brothers and sisters, I was wondering if they had any kind of musical influence too, but being the only child, you can just do whatever you want, right?
And there's a limit. There's a limit. Yeah. We was in a Christian household, so it was, I still ended up doing pretty much what I wanted to do.
Going outside the borders.
Going way outside the border.
And that seems to be, I don't know how common it is now, but when I was growing up, a lot of the very religious households, I went to school with some of these people, those seemed like the kids that were way off the charts. It seemed like when they were at their house, it was a total different person. But man, when they got away, it was like, let's go.
Absolutely. So, I told you I was in youth group and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in high school, of course, I started going kind of my own way, but I was still holding that image of, I'm on the worship team and I'm doing this and doing that. But when I'm around my friends, it's a totally different story.
Yeah, that's, like I said, that's how I noticed it with my friends too. So did you have, I know we're going to talk a little bit how you got out of them borders, but did you have anything other than music as far as like hobbies and stuff in high school to kind of keep, some kids have different things that kind of keep them away from stuff like that, like sports or, different things that keep their time occupied. If you don't have your time occupied as a kid, you're going to find something to do. You know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of times that stuff happens is when they don't have any other interest or nothing's introduced to them. So you said music, 15 or 16. Was there anything else that you had that you were concentrated as far as hobbies?
Fishing, baseball.
Okay.
I wasn't a deer hunter, and I still ain't. But fishing, I love bass fishing. Yeah. Still do. And I always have.
Well, you're in the perfect place for it.
Absolutely. I think
Guntersville,
oh my goodness. Pull some hogs out of that place, son.
Well, that place was rated number 1 a while back. I don't know what it's rated at now, but it's like the number 1 bass place in the country.
And just putting your boat in there and getting all that stuff caught up into your motor, it shows you why it's the number 1 bass place, because that's where they like to hide.
Yeah. Well, didn't at one time didn't they spray that stuff at one time to try to kill it off?
They did. And then they did a while back, and the
boaters was like, "Yes, finally."
It just comes
and
right
then the
back.
fisherman was like, "What the heck?" But yeah, now they stopped doing that. So now if you go down the marinas down in Guntersville, it's what do they call that stuff?
Milfoil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's milfoil all over the dock. So a lot of time, as you boaters know, that stuff will get in your
and it's bad.
impellers and everything.
It's bad. And so if you do leisurely boating, that's Lake Guntersville is not the place to do it.
Right.
It's definitely like Tim's Ford or something like that. That's where you go.
So coming out of high school, you started playing guitar at 15 and 16. So I'm guessing the high school. When did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2004.
Okay.
When I was 17.
17, okay.
Yeah.
So what was your first job out of high school? Did you have employment?
First job out of high school, Domino's Pizza.
Sweet.
It was the worst job I have ever had.
I worked at Little Caesars, and I don't know if you remember back then, but Little Caesars, when they first came out, they had they called it pizza. So you paid one pizza and you got another one free. Well, everybody and their brother wanted something, 2 for the price of 1. And that was one of the busiest places I've ever worked was Little Caesars.
It was definitely one of the busiest places.
Slinging sauce. I mean,
definitely one of the busiest places I've ever been to. On a certain time, I ended up being the pizza maker, which is apparently top of the line there. Yeah. And I did the dough and threw it up in there. I was a hot shot, man. And Domino's Pizza in Marinaville, Alabama.
You have guys after your shift wanting your autographs, like, man,
right?
He signed my pizza box.
People come through drive-through. Where's Brett at?
So, what were some of the jobs that you had up in? Well, I don't want to say real job because that's not correct. I mean, if you work at a pizza place, it is a job. Matter of fact, I think you're probably working harder than most people with, quote unquote normal jobs, right?
Well, I suggested. So when I was 13 and 14, I would say that's when I really started working just to try to make money during the summer, during the weekends. My cousin owns a construction business and I used to work for him. And, I would go through and pick up all the scrap pieces that after when he got done building the house, I would go through and clean up all the houses where he was building the houses. Now I was lazy as crap. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't want to do it, but I'd go through and picking up, and hauling hay was a big thing. It's a big thing where I'm from. Hay is a necessity around where we live, and as you know, it is here too. So hauling hay was another job I had during the summertime, and that was brutal. Yeah. Brutal. If nobody's ever just been out and hauled hay for a season, don't talk to me about work.
Well, back where I'm from, that was cutting tobacco. It was basically on par with doing that. Cutting tobacco in the middle. Man, by the time you got home, if you could stay awake while you were driving to get home. By the time you got home, as soon as your bed hit that, or your head hit that pillow, man, you're
absolutely.
Until it was time to wake up to go do it again. That's some rough work. So, at what point in your life did you start thinking, okay, I want to make this music thing. I want to do this as full time as I can, and what do I need to do to make this happen? So, what was your decision process?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay.
3 years ago.
What job was you doing when you decided to do that?
I was actually, and I currently still am, a worship leader.
Okay.
At Friendship Church, Friendship North campus. We got 3 different campuses. Shout out Friendship North. We got 3 different campuses, and I am the worship leader there currently. But I've always had, and I have a passion for it. And I've always had, and I do feel called to it. But I've always had a passion for writing, and I talked to my wife. For a shout out to Tiffany, that's my wife. I talked to my wife about this for quite a while, about going out and trying to find somewhere that would have me to play some music and play some gigs somewhere. And she was all about it. She's 100% supportive of my music career, and which is top notch. I mean, you don't find many women like that. So
it's been a common theme that we've had doing all these interviews and stuff, especially with musicians. You're not gonna go very far unless you have a real good support system.
Absolutely.
And just about everybody I've had on here has had that to be able to make them, succeed. So
absolutely,
shout out to her.
Yeah, it was about 3 years ago, and I thought, I want to try writing some. I want to try playing out some, and so let me hear. So
being a worship leader, so from high school up to that point, I know we talked about you going off the rails a little bit.
Absolutely.
So if you want to talk about a little bit of that, we can. But I guess more of the question is, how did going through some of that stuff you did help you to be able to talk to people now about worship services and stuff like that?
Okay, so I think to explain it better, I'm gonna have to go back to when I was in high school.
Okay.
I made friends, quote unquote, with a couple people in high school that I knew were very shady, didn't really care, because they had stuff I liked. And there was always a time in my life where I needed affirmation. I needed that a boy. Good job. You're doing great. And I still struggle with that a little bit to this day. But I was going off the rails in high school because I wanted to be accepted.
Sure.
So that started with smoking weed. Started smoking weed when I was 17. Started smoking weed when I was 17. And started taking pills before that. Started taking pills in high school. From age 15 to age 18, I was taking pills every day, abusing them, not just taking them, but extremely abusing them. Taking 5 hydrocodone 7.5s per class period. So that's
wow.
20. No,
that's a lot.
That's 30 pills in a day. I was gone. I was gone. And but it made me feel good. It made me throw up as soon as I left school or during school, but it made me feel good. And at the same time, I was going out to these parties, Friday night, Saturday night, drinking, and I never really had a problem with alcohol. It was the pills. The pills kept me wrapped in. The pills kept me hooked. I experimented with some stuff, stronger stuff, but actually, God brought me back to Him. I didn't really seek out to be saved. I didn't really seek out to be pulled back in to the faith. Mm-hmm. God actually sought me out, and once I was saved, I started kind of looking back on this other stuff that I went through in my life.
So to the second part of that question, I imagine, I'm sure you're going to talk about it a little bit more, but going through those hard times and that stuff, how much does that help you to talk? I mean, you're part of a worship group, right? Mm-hmm. Or you're the head of it?
I'm a worship leader, yeah.
So you probably have younger kids in there that you're talking to. Is that correct? Or is it older?
During my worship time, I will try to minister to the younger ages. Mm-hmm. But during the worship service, it's mostly adults. It's everybody's in there.
Okay.
And I might introduce a song or something, but I don't really minister to nobody.
Gotcha. Okay.
There except through music.
Gotcha. Well, hey, let's take a break real quick, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit about what you're doing right now and where we're going to look into the future. So we'll be right back.
If you like Cajun cuisine and want an experience like no other, try Tim's Cajun Kitchen on Norton Lane. Tim's Cajun Kitchen is one of the longest running restaurants in Huntsville, Alabama, and for good reason. I myself have been to Tim's Cajun Kitchen several times throughout the years, and not once have I gotten anything that was short of fantastic. What are you waiting for? Try Tim's Cajun Kitchen today.
Hey, welcome back. We took our break and we're hydrated. We talked a little bit about all kinds of different stuff. But what I wanted to go back to a little bit, we were talking a little bit about, in high school and your jobs and everything. I was wondering, everybody's influenced by something. So we didn't talk much about your songwriting and how that style came about. What made you go the country route, and how do you get these songs that you've written that are so good?
So I think I'm very bluesy, Southern soul type of feel. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even I would classify some of my songs as country. I would not classify all of them, but okay. There is a very vast majority of my songs that are about one person, and that would be my ex-wife. When I was 21 years old, I got married, and I understand to everybody out there in YouTube land, that's way too soon.
I got married when I was 21.
I didn't say married. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
I was married, divorced, and had a child in the same year.
Sweet. Well,
come on, Bill.
Well, I'm trying to help you there.
So now
I don't want to go, oh my God.
Not lying. I mean, my oldest daughter is an absolute blessing.
Yep.
But so we got to a point where we couldn't talk. We got to a point where, and this is before we got married. We got married for the wrong reason. She was pregnant. And things was happening. And so I went to work one day, and I had just got my EMT license. So I was working on an ambulance. So I went to work, and I'm sitting on a football field, and we're doing standby for this football game. And my wife at the time sends me a text message, say, "Hey, I just want to let you know that I moved my stuff out today, filed for divorce, and you should get the papers in the mail within the next couple of days."
Was you expecting that?
Absolutely not. So I'm sitting over here, a grown man on the sidelines of the football field, weeping, because I know, and it's not even about my ex. It's about my daughter. Because at this time, she's 2 months old. And this happens. Yeah. There's so much bitterness. So much. Even we're civil. We are 100% civil. And I would even come close to calling us friends because we try to work with each other a little bit. Yeah. There's still some things she ain't going to work with me on, but we're going to skip past that.
Okay. Hey man, there is no perfect relationship. You know what I mean? You always have.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But we, we're civil now, and but there was still so much resentment, so much bitterness, and at the time I didn't know nothing about writing songs. I didn't know nothing about how to structure anything, and when I started writing, I said, I want to write about this time in my life because it's such an important time. It's where I kind of guided me into the style that I have. And that's when I wrote the song Barbie Car, which is on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, all that. It's about her leaving with my child. And all that she left was a little Barbie car toy in her room.
Yeah.
And
well, that'll make a good song.
It's it will. Yeah. And I think it did. But yeah, that's kind of where I came up with my kind of style is kind of a crying blues, Southern soul type feel,
So you mentioned where to get your music at. So you're available on just about everything. It sounds like Spotify, iTunes.
Spotify, iTunes, something I can't pronounce, and
Go there, guys.
Apple Music and iHeartRadio.
Okay.
Is what I've got the feedback from so far.
So where do you have? Well, I know the answer. I think. Do you have a publisher?
I do not.
Okay, so how did you figure out?
Well, I'm sorry. Publisher is as in somebody who distributes my stuff.
Yeah.
DistroKid.
Okay.
DistroKid's who I went through.
Okay, so you just send
for
that stuff to him,
distribution.
and he puts everything, or her, or whatever it is.
It's a company. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's
Okay.
yeah. They throw it out there. They got to verify a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
Apparently, and then they go through, and I guess if you do covers, it's a lot different from what I've heard. You got to pay a certain amount to get it pushed,
Okay.
and all this other stuff. But if it's original, as long as it's originals, it's everything's kosher.
Yeah. I just drew a big blank, man. I was listening to your story, and I'm like, I forgot the hell where I was going from there.
I have that
Thank
effect
God
on people. Like
Well,
my
I know
wife.
where I was going. Sorry.
We'll edit this out.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
Thanks,
That's why I
Tracer.
started. Let me get in there and drink here. Okay, so talking about the distribution that we just talked about, what's the names of these? Do you just go to Brett Carlisle Music on each one of those platforms, or is it named something different?
Yeah,
on
it's
each?
Brett Carlisle Music. There is apparently 50 different Brett Carlisles that post on Spotify.
How
and
can
all
we
this.
get to you specifically?
Brett Carlisle Music? I am the only Brett Carlisle Music
There we go.
on there.
Okay.
So I'm actually friends with one of the Brett Carlisles on there. He's actually he's the lead singer of a band, White Shark. And
So did he contact you? Like, man, what are you doing?
I
stealing my
actually
stuff.
contacted him. I
Okay.
said, "There's no way you can't follow somebody with the same name."
Right. That's pretty cool. So playing here in this area, I know we talked about already all the different places you played. What was probably not to bash anybody, because that's not the intent. that's not the intent of this question. The question is, and it doesn't even have to be about the venue, where you had your best time at, and where was your worst time at. Not to blame the venues, or maybe it was the venue. You can go as far as you want. But what was your favorite and least favorite place that you've played so far?
Best time by far is the Tennessean Truck and Travel Stop. They have an upstairs bar and grill, and they have a downstairs restaurant. And that place after 9 o'clock gets insane.
Yeah.
Dude, and you would never think that because it's a truck stop.
Yeah.
It's just a truck. It's a truck stop with a restaurant, but they got a bar. So
Where's that located at?
it's Cornersville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So it's right off the interstate.
I'm sure it's got to be. Truck stop.
Yeah. Right off there. You can't miss it. Giant black building, and it's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous building. They actually had a fire there a while back, and it was one level, and it burnt down the whole place. So they rebuilt it bigger, better, and just insane.
Well,
and
they probably took all those lessons learned. I was like, man, if we could change this, we would
Oh,
do that.
absolutely.
As soon as burner, like,
Absolutely.
we're going to take all that stuff we learned and make it unique.
Absolutely. And it was just a fantastic venue. I mean, you're talking about getting requests left and right, tips left and right. That place is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to be back there. I'll be back there in September. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now, the worst, man.
Well, rather than throwing anybody under the bus, what happened that made it the worst? So we don't have to name the place if you don't want. But
Okay. What happened that made it the worst? Nobody shows up.
Mhm.
No advertisement.
Mm.
No, like, garbage pay.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to travel.
Sure.
You know, it's travel. It's
Yeah.
time.
Cost you money to get there.
Right. It's time. But yeah, I don't want to just throw everybody's name out there.
Sure.
But
Yep, no problem.
But absolutely, that's the reasons what made it the worst, and it makes you think, you know, am I not Am I not good? Am I not something worth?
Yeah, but then you'll play somebody else and the place is packed.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
so you can blame it on the venue.
Yeah.
What's the name of that place again? No. So out of every place in the United States, we won't include outside the United States, but if there's any place that you could play in the whole United States that you had one shot, we waved a wand and said, you're going to play here on this date, where would that place be?
Grand Ole Opry.
I knew you was going to say that.
Grand Ole Opry.
I would like to play there,
100%.
and I'm not even a musician.
100%. Grand. You're a drummer.
Well,
He's talking about that on break. You're a drummer.
Man, you could talk to a lot of drummers and they'll tell you, no, he's not. He likes to hit stuff, but he's not a drummer. So on that same line of questioning, as far as venues, who's an artist that you would like to play with?
Oh man.
Now, I know it's a hard one,
Man.
but there's always a one.
Okay,
As soon as I asked that question, something came to the front of your mind.
Absolutely.
So who was
Now
that?
there's several, but one artist that I truly would love to just sit down and pick his brain and just write with, play with is Drake White. Because there is so many people that I've learned that I play a couple of his songs when I play gigs, and people will come up and say, "Did you write that?" No, that's Drake White. Who is that?
No.
Are you serious? You don't know who Drake White is?
No.
And that's honestly, when I fashioned my style, when I started, I tried to emulate him.
Yeah.
And he is an amazing, amazing artist.
Anybody if you could pick out anybody out of the Huntsville area, who would it be?
Ooh.
I got somebody on top of my mind. I'm wondering if you're going to say it.
Now, I'll tell you one person would definitely be Otis Walker.
Yeah.
I love Otis Walker. I love his sound. I love his style.
It just so happens he's going to be on the podcast. Well, he's going to be released the week before you.
Yeah, and
It's really weird you
it's
said that.
absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I would love to play with Otis Walker. There is so many talented individuals
Oh, absolutely. Around here.
They're that
everywhere.
it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
Otis's energy while he's playing is infectious.
Absolutely,
And-
yes.
and the reason
yes.
And an example is when I'm playing, when I'm kind of like, I'll ask bands, hey, can I step in? Like, come on in. I will play to the energy that everybody else is. I'll play like this if it's kind of, and then I'll play like this if everybody's into it. I played with Otis last Monday or so.
Did you last 5 minutes?
No.
He is insane,
No,
man.
I went up there and I had one of the best times
Oh, yeah.
because he's in front of me playing and he's into it. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah.
It's so much fun.
He's infectious on no matter what he sings, whether it's his original or if it's even a cover. Some of the covers that he's playing, you wouldn't even know it was a cover because he plays it so uniquely. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I agree 100%. He's definitely, I got to play with him.
Yeah.
Before you
Yeah.
did.
I
yeah,
think
man,
that'd be a perfect marriage because you have like a very strong blues inspiration, but you have a rock grit to you. For a country band, that's pretty cool, you know?
I've been told about my gravelly voice, but you'd be surprised at the people who they don't care for it.
Mm.
So, you
Well,
know,
they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, I'm a
kinda-
fan. I like it. I mean,
What day did we go up there? Was that Monday?
where?
To the dog place with Otis. What day was it?
Probably. I don't know.
Whatever day it is, he played. I think it's Monday. Mondays or Tuesday. We'll put it down in the comments. There's a day that he plays at a dog park here, and I know that sounds dumb, but this place is really cool.
Is it the restaurant type
the
dog place?
Rocket City Dog?
Yeah,
something in the
yeah.
dog bar.
Yes, dog bar. Mm-hmm.
Well, he plays every week, whether it's a Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. But his thing is if you play something, you want to come up and join the band, let me know and you're coming up. So he's got a full band, but if you want to go up there, come on, and you can play as many as you want.
That's awesome.
So that was the only reason he probably let me play because he said, if you want to play, come on. I said, yep, me. So yeah, you ought to go up there. Well, even if not, I'm sure he would enjoy having you anyway. And we'll talk about something else when we're off camera, where I think you guys would be a good
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Combination together.
I would definitely love to play with him. And the other one is Brandon Elder. Awesome artist. Haven't got a chance to talk with him any, but he's just, his music's fantastic.
Yeah, he's incredible too. As a matter of fact, the first time I met him was at that smoke show. And I think I was telling you about this earlier on the Facebook Live that we had. Just out of the blue, just kind of, hey, can you come here and play something? And he picked up a guitar with that fiddle player, or violin player, whatever you want to call her. She's phenomenal too. And they played a song right there in live. And it sounded phenomenal on the live. But if you were standing right there, you're like, there's no way that you couldn't have got inspired or moved or whatever. Because I was just sitting there, I'm like, and I was looking back at the editor, and I'm like, can you believe that? I mean, it was phenomenal. Super, super great artist. And he's coming on here. He's working on a new album. So as soon as he gets out of the studio, he's going to come on here. We're going to talk about his release and everything. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's another good one. So let's talk about what you're doing right now.
Well, what I'm doing right now, I just, like I said, just released a 3-song kind of EP.
Mm-hmm.
That is my first release I've ever done. I've never released anything else. That's my first thing I've ever put out into the world. As I say, I put out into for other people to hear. It's actually on TikTok music now, and so you can go on and download that as a sound behind your video.
Okay.
YouTube music, stuff like that. So, and I had somebody from Taiwan actually use my song on their video, which was insane to me.
That's pretty wild, the internet, huh?
Ain't it though? I had somebody from Taiwan comment on one of my videos and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job from Taiwan." And that's nuts.
Yeah, we were real surprised too. Looking at the analytics on YouTube as we started putting stuff out, some of the places where we were getting views from, I was like, man, I didn't know they spoke English there. Do they even understand what I'm saying? So it is pretty wild.
My wife always tells me you go double aluminum in Afghanistan before long.
Yeah. I got to meet her.
Oh, dude.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
I'm telling you, she's blunt. She's to the point.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't care for it. But that's my baby. That's my baby.
That's the best kind of person to be around. If somebody's going to be real with you and not try to bullshit.
Absolutely.
You.
But as a man, I got a little bit of an ego as far as my music goes. And when it's shot down, I'm like, you don't even love me.
Why would you say something like that to me? Does she catch you crying in a corner? What's wrong with baby?
Nah, if she caught me crying, she would console me a little bit and then make fun of me afterwards.
Suck it up. Hey, I feel bad for you. We're going to get through this. Just suck it up. That's how it be. That's what my wife is. But hey, man, is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
After this next month, I will be putting out some more music. So just get ready for that. I got a new song coming out called Ballad of a Broken String. And it has nothing to do with guitar strings.
Well, even better.
But I'm excited about that one. I got another blues song coming out soon. So
sweet. Oh, and something else I want to bring up before we get off here is you said you're playing the Tennessean?
I will be playing the Tennessean.
But we didn't give the date.
Oh, goodness gracious. I got to look at my my calendar real fast.
Well, it's like $10 a second here.
To keep the lull down, I'm trying to.
Well, I'll go ahead and talk while you're looking it up. Before we get off here, like I said, on just about every video we've done, all the links that we've talked about where to get his music, we can post his schedule, where he's going to be. We'll put all that stuff in the description. Did you find
October 12th. It's not September. It's October 12th.
Aren't you glad I asked
I'm glad you asked.
People would have showed up Tennessee in
September every weekend. Where's Brett?
So glad we got that covered. All right, man. You all good? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, sir. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank y'all for having me here. It's been a pleasure, man. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, man. You're welcome here anytime. When we get off here, you might be able to see Brett a little bit on live. We went live a little bit on TikTok before we started. Obviously, it ain't live at the time. You can always go back on his TikTok and look and find out what we did. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll be back again next week. We'll see you.
There you go.